So it's very unusual for us to go in with an object, which in this case was the complete works of Shakespeare. It's a big object. What are we going to do with that? And the idea was to make versions of all of the 36 plays, each told as a narrative by one of the performers, 6 people, each of them doing 6 plays, to make basically 45 minutes to 1 hour long version of each play, told as a narration and using a set of everyday objects on the tabletop as stand-ins for the characters.
So, in Olivia's house, in the garden, Maria is hiding behind a bush. And Sir Toby Belch is hiding behind another bush. And Feste is hiding behind another bush. And Sir Andrew Aguecheek is hiding behind a tree. And they wait for Malvolio to turn up. And sure enough, he does.
A cup might be asked to stand in for Hamlet, or a roll of gaffer tape might be asked to stand in for Ophelia or something. And we learned very quickly that if you were like rough with them, it didn't work anymore. They became very ordinary very quickly. So we, over the course of the whole process, we were both refining the narratives down, but also learning all of these things, which I suppose have their origin in puppetry, although we would never think of ourselves as puppeteers. But there is something, of course, about how puppeteers treat the inanimate objects that they're dealing with in order to give them the appearance of life or a kind of significance and a presence.
But as he looks at the table, in his place, all he can see is the figure of Banquo, covered in blood. And he's pointing a finger directly at him. And Macbeth says, "Which of you has done this?"
Amazing thing about Shakespeare is the language, and English language is full of quotations or half quotations from the plays. So, as a native English speaker, you're kind of full of these little fragments of those plays. But in what we've done with them, we don't really use much of the language. What we've taken is really the plots, the stories. So each of the complete works is a kind of telling, a summary of what happens in the play. And it's different. What it brings out is the sort of clockwork mechanisms, if you like, of the stories and how those work, how they set up tensions, the kind of dilemmas they set up, the kind of structures that they use to resolve them. And there's a pleasure in that. I suppose it's something like the pleasure of taking the engine out of a car and laying all the pieces out. It's understanding how it works.
And he turns to his friends and he says, "How can you say to me that I am a king? I eat bread, I need friends, I feel want. Subjected thus, how can you say to me that I am a king?" And Hamel says, "All isn't lost, there's my father, the Duke of York. You've left him as governor, he'll fight for us." The messenger delivers the final blow and says the Duke of York has joined Bolingbroke.
Against all the odds, actually, the stories do happen. They come to life, and as an audience, you do get taken to extraordinary places in these very ordinary setups. It's the origins of theatre, really. It's sitting at a table or in a space with an object and asking it to be something else.
And he says that in order to be released from the island, he needs the audience's help. and that he needs the audience to clap in order to break the spell. And the last thing that happens is the audience clap. Prospero bows and leaves. And finally, the stage is empty.